Hey everyone, how's it going? Bowser the Healer here, and today's video is for the beginners. You're trying to get into preservation, you've pressed your buttons, but you want to know a little bit more, and you need some help because the class is quite difficult when you're first learning. Well, hey, I got you. And I have on screen here a talent build linked below that's just sort of a good beginner's build that provides a lot of the meta stuff, but has a few more points in comfort and healing options instead of damage. You will need damage talents if you decide to push really high keys. Really high keys being anything in the 18 and beyond department. But realistically, this build should work all the way through 16s and even 17s without you causing any hindrance to your party and having some nice backup healing in the tank to help smooth things over. I'm not going to go through the whole build here. I'm going to highlight some of the important parts of the build and things that I want you to think about as a player, because most of what we're going to go over are combos, rotations, and ways to keep yourself ahead of the curve when it comes to this kind of difficult pre-planning class. Now, let's look at these talents real quick. We have all the essentials here. You have your Emerald Communion combo, which I'll go over later. We're taking a faster Spirit Bloom, which means you're going to be able to use this nice, wonderful button more often. We're taking Temporal Anomaly and Resonating Sphere because it's simply put one of the best cooldowns in the entire game for healing. And we have a fatter Renewing Breath, just so that your heal over times and your upfront healing are all just better. We also take 2 charges of Rewind because while this is reduced healing on Rewind, it's more potent outside of Raid anyway. And honestly, God, you'll overheal with the normal version most of the time. 2 rewind charges does a lot, and I use it in high keys all the time. And my favorite talent over here, Time of Need, this will just save lives. I use this in pugs all the time because it's every 60 seconds, you from the future come in to save someone's life who fell below 20% health. You start with a Verdant Embrace, and then future you just starts throwing Living Flames. And honestly, the healing might not look insane from it, but the life-saving potential is actually the biggest reason you bring it. And I really like the talent. I think it goes to good use, and when you're learning, there's nothing quite like it. Now, I want to start with the biggest thing that players miss about preservation is the opener. Because you might be going, why are we still taking Life Giver's Flame if we're not doing a damage build? Oh, because Life Giver's Flame is one of the best heals in the game. Fire Breath turns into a heal for 80% of its damage for up to 5 targets. So 5 targets burn, 1 target receives the healing, and it's smart healing, so that target will change depending on who needs it. So, what do I mean by opener? Well, let me explain. You don't want to fall behind on preservation because its ability to react to heals is all emergency buttons, and with 3 and 4 minute cooldowns, that's not really viable as your normal healing state. So, what I want you to do is let's start with the basic opener. The basic opener is the tank starts gathering the enemies. Throw a Temporal Anomaly through as many people as possible, maybe echo anyone in the party that didn't get one, and then I want you to Fire Breath the enemies. Yeah, that's right, I want you to Fire Breath the enemies, because look at the healing that you end up getting. It'll pop up on both sides of the screen depending on who's getting healed. But that's a ton of healing over time, and we're actually doing quite a bit of damage. Look at this, we're sitting at what, 40 something K? Just chilling here? Right, that's a lot of damage for just a Fire Breath. Now, occasionally my stats are resetting here on details, unfortunately, but this is huge, and that's your basic opener. That opener not only allows everyone to have an echo on them due to Temporal Anomaly giving out echoes with Resonating Sphere, but you get to kickstart the damage and the healing and can focus on maybe doing more damage or, you know, getting your mana back or whatever it is you need to do. But let's say the party's taking damage. Okay, well then just Dream Breath them. Now, all these units are taking a massive, massive, massive heal over time, and they're getting healed from the Fire Breath, and you can still do more actions here. You can use a Spirit Bloom to hit all those echoes if you need to hit them with a super powerful heal. Maybe you just all went to 10% HP from a boss mechanic. You know what? Great. But let's say they're not taking a lot of damage. Well, if you have 4-piece bonus, start with a Temporal Anomaly, set them on fire, and then hit reversion. Please excuse those numbers. It's a lovely little interaction that only works on the training dummies. But this allows you to start farming your instant cast Living Flames, which is not only a great healing button, but a great damaging button as well. Not to mention, we take a talent called Leaping Flames. The stronger, the more we charge up Fire Breath, the more of these jumps you get from a Living Flame. So you can do a lot of damage and a lot of healing just with Fire Breath and Temporal Anomaly, even if the reversions aren't doing a lot of healing. For context, Echo Reversion got nerfed. Not the actual spell Echo and Reversion, but Temporal Anomaly's Echo and its interaction with Golden Hour, the talent, got nerfed. Or rather, it's now working as intended, I think. It was a little too strong. But this opener of just getting the Echo out, setting things on fire, and then Dream Breathing, you could do probably every pull and you would have no problems, because it starts your healing in a really strong way. It gets everyone starting to be healed. If they take damage, they're probably healing it back already. And let's say a target does take a decent amount of damage. Echo, Reversion. Again, please excuse the 84 million number you just saw, but Echo Reversion is a huge heal over time, and it does an instant quite a bit of healing based on how much damage they recently took because of Golden Hour, especially on tanks. If you're seeing a tank's health bar ping pong up and down, Echo Reversion will save a life. It's that strong of a heal. Go use it on a Death Knight, you'll lose your mind, or a Brewmaster. Both of them heal so much from Reversion. So that should be actually all you need to know to start. Now, I'm not going to stop with the tips here. We're going to go over a few more important combos and stasis. But if you're doing Temporal Anomaly before any big heal when lots of people take damage, you're fine. If you're using Fire Breath on cooldown when packs have plenty of health, you're going to be doing a lot of healing. Use it on bosses, use it everywhere you can, because it is doing a lot of work, and trust me, you don't want to lose out on that healing. Now, what if only like 2 people get hurt? Well, this is when my friend Verdant Embrace comes in. See, without instant cast Living Flame, our fastest heal is a Living Flame, or it's Verdant Embrace, where we jump across the room and heal our target. Now, it's a super potent heal, and it also triggers Life Bind, which is which is critical for the Emerald Communion combo. But the reason this is so important is you can set up what I like to call a cleave heal. So let's say this target and this target are taking damage, and this target's about to take damage. I can echo, and then jump to this target, and now basically everyone receives 50,000 healing. Yeah, so you can cleave 2-3 targets very easily with something like Verdant Embrace. Or let's say 2 targets need healing and one of them needs a lot more healing. Well, then you echo both the targets and then you Verdant Embrace the target with more missing health. And that way you give them an even fatter heal. This use of Verdant Embrace is one of the best uses of the move, because you don't have a lot of instant cast anything in your kit without having an instant cast Living Flame or a stasis already charged, or without using Tip the Scales, which is a 2-minute cooldown. Now, speaking of, if you are new to the class, Tip the Scales, I want you to treat it like an emergency cooldown. Oh, I have to heal the party right now. Tip the Scales, Spirit Bloom. Tip the Scales, Dream Breath. Tip the Scales, Temporal Anomaly, and then one of those 2 moves. That's going to make a huge difference in your play. It's just good to think about it as an emergency heal. Later in your career, you'll start using it in more creative and damaging ways, but it's nice to have this. But what's also fun is stasis. So when you're learning stasis, it's a little weird. I want you as a beginner to go, okay, am I going to heal in the next 30 seconds? Okay, I'm going to pop stasis. Set up a heal, and then leave it alone. If you need to heal again, simply press stasis and let loose the last heal you did. Now, you can make a bad stasis, so you do have to be careful, and I'm about to provide you some example stasises that I think really help. But as you get better at the class, you're gonna know, like, hey, we're about to take a lot of damage, and then we're gonna take even more damage in like 20 seconds. You can set up the heal, top everyone off, get to the mechanic, press stasis, and then your other buttons will likely still be available, and you can use those to heal afterwards or beforehand, etc. There are so many ways to play with stasis, we could be here all day. But if you want some nice easy combos, let me give you a rule. My rule is, do you want the temporal at the front or the back? If you Temporal Anomaly at the start of a stasis combo, that means that you're going to get a super powerful heal from the stasis itself. But what if you want to set up for a next incoming piece of damage? Having temporal last means you can do a bunch of big healing, throw the Temporal Anomaly, everyone will have echo on them, and they're ready to go for the next mechanic. So it's a nice way to play it, and you don't have to think too hard about it. You just have to think, do I want to cover what's coming up, or do I want to cover what's coming now? And that's what you're going to build your stasis around. But my basic combo is this: throw a Temporal Anomaly, throw a Dream Breath, chill. Now, why chill? Well, because there's a few reasons to chill in a combo like this. One of which is that, let's say more damage comes in. Well, I'll use the Spirit Bloom. But also notice that stasis doesn't go on cooldown or tick or anything at 2 charges. So until I cast a heal, it's not actually going to duplicate anything. And then certain heals like Rewinds and Emerald Communions can't be put in stasis. So you actually have access to a couple of things that can still work while maintaining stasis. And let's say we're doing damage, right? We're like fighting mobs. And then I'm like, oh, hey, some damage is coming through. Temporal Anomaly. Boom. I've set up a combo to help heal my team. But now my combo is Temporal Anomaly, Dream Breath, Temporal Anomaly, which means I can straight up set up for the next mechanic right now. It's a very fun setup, and I think it does a lot of work to making preservation better, but if it turns into an Emerald Blossom or a reversion at the end of the combo, you still have a Dream Breath and a Temporal Anomaly sitting in the chamber ready to go, which on its own is quite a lot of healing. So being able to just let that rip in a 30-second window covers more mechanics than you would expect. So again, simple advice, start by using it, just going, hey, I'm going to have to heal in 30 seconds. I'll use this while I heal right now, and then I'll use it again when I need to heal. But, you know, once you start wanting combos and going, okay, I want to set up a stasis, Temporal Anomaly Dream Breath is just such a good go-to. And stasis remembers what charge level. So if you feel like you need a bigger instant heal, feel free to charge up Dream Breath. You will get that charged up Dream Breath in the stasis. Preservation's a lot of fun, but I think what makes this class hard is that falling off part. So using Temporal Anomaly to buff your team for big heals is a really nice way to get ahead of the curve, but also remembering to use Fire Breath because it's just putting in work all the time for you. So having this work all the time while having other heals working for you makes it so that then you end up just having to heal people, you know, with an Echo Reversion. Echo Reversion is one of the best heals in the game, and I cannot stress it enough. Using Echoes with Verdant Embrace and Echoes with Reversions and even Echoes with Living Flames is a great way to heal people that doesn't cost massive cooldowns. So make sure you're using that plenty of times to heal 1, maybe 2 targets at a time, 3 if you're spicy with it. One other massive tip for all of you before we go for today is Obsidian Scales and Renewing Blaze. I have them down here on my bars. Our defensive is up every 1.5 minutes with a recharge. It's a 30% damage reduction, which is pretty big, but Renewing Blaze will heal us, and 100% of the damage we take is healed back over 8 seconds. What this means is that you can have a Renewing Blaze up every time there's an Obsidian Scale charge. So let's say there's a lot of damage coming in. Well, don't think about yourself. Pop your defensive, pop your Renewing Blaze, and as the damage hits you, you'll be healing, and you can be sending out heals to your teammates without having to worry about your own health bar as much. And then if you do get low, you can use something like a health pop before you have to spend a GCD on yourself. And I think that's incredibly useful. There are a lot of mechanics at high level play where making sure that you stay healed is what allows you to just focus on your teammates' health bars and keep them up. The one final thing I think to add into here is Terror of the Skies. This is sort of an optional talent as a preservation evoker early on, but notice that I have a Pressing Roar in here for us. The combo is to simply whenever you want to stun a target, a Pressing Roar, and then Deep Breath them. You'll get a really intense stun on them that lasts a very long time, but as you get better at the game, you're going to need to set up these Oppressing Roars for your teammates to do really big combos of crowd control so that a dangerous pack of enemies doesn't do any damage to you all while you blast. This is super nice to have, but you can kind of fit it into a beginner's build, no problem. And I figure it's better you use it, you know, in some method while you're learning, so you can use it in more advanced levels later. And this is the big trick. Just use Oppressing Roar before you use Deep Breath every time, and you'll never mess it up, and it'll always be up for you. If you're playing with your friends, you can set up Oppressing Roar to get some big leg sweeps or some absolutely massive paladin stuns. It's insane. You can do a lot of really fun things with it. But that's going to do it for this video. I know this was just a beginner's take and a nice easy build, but if you guys ever want me to do bigger in-depth guides as to all the potential interactions and whatnot, I'm more than down. But I promise you, this class is difficult, but throw yourself into some heroics, get used to the buttons, and then feel free to dive into Mythic Plus. You have a lot of healing buttons. Prepare your team with some renewing breaths and some heal over times, and then simply react accordingly, and I'm sure you'll do just fine. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.